Hello and welcome back to another episode of Around the Horns, talking Texas baseball. A Monday selection special here with Coach Schloss. Coach, thanks for the time. I know y'all had selection show this morning. You've got 1,000 things going on, but how's everyone feeling at the ballpark?
Yeah, pretty energized. I think guys are excited. We've had from Friday afternoon, getting back here to last night at 5:30. Guys had about 48 hours worth of rest and being away from the ballpark. We had a good workout last night, and then it's just nice knowing, we've kind of figured we were going to be playing at home, but now you see who the draw is, and you get excited about it and watch the show. And I mean, again, it's college baseball's version of Christmas morning. So teams down there lifting right now, position players are at least, and we'll gradually get them ready for Friday.
Yeah, speaking of the draw, so that in case anyone missed it, Texas is hosting UTSA, Kansas State, and Houston Christian. I keep calling them Houston Baptist. That's what they used to be. But obviously, two teams that y'all are very familiar with, having played them during the midweek this season, and then K-State, who Texas has familiarity with from being in the Big 12 last year and years prior, and including a former player in D. Kennedy. How challenging or how easy is it, I guess, you talked about this a little bit in the media session this morning, but having two teams that you're very familiar with, they've got tape on you, that you've seen them on the field. How does that factor into you're not playing a team from the north that you just never watch?
Yeah. I think obviously, it helps us have a generic idea of how they play, and the same for them. So I don't think it's an advantage. It's just equal. Kansas State. If I was the coach of those three teams, I would be excited about my draw, because I'm going to a place where either all of my team or most of my team has been, right? And I would assume most of K-State's team has been here. D. Kennedy certainly played here. And then you have UTSA, who plays here just about every year, who's played here this year, and Houston Christian, who was just here. So, I think those things get equaled out. Sometimes the heat can get some of the teams from outside of our region. I don't think that's going to be the case. Certainly not going to be the case with Houston Christian or UTSA. So that kind of gets, marginalized, or whatever you would call it, equalized out. Yeah, we just have to go play. I mean, we have to go play good baseball, and need to get our team healthy, healthier, or as healthy as it can get, and see if we can't put a competitive lineup out there, and then figure the pitching out as we go.
Yeah, and talking about the team, y'all are going to be facing some very different styles than, like, all three teams bring very different styles. K-State likes to put guys in motion, not necessarily power teams, but then you have Mason Lytle down at UTSA, who's one of the better hitters in the nation. How does that affect how y'all prepare defensively, or does it? You just, hey, we got to focus on just playing solid defense and taking good at bats?
Yeah, it doesn't affect too much in our conference. When you have a team like Kentucky in your league that do different things and put pressure on you that way. We played UTSA; they do that. Trying to think who else that we've played that would play that brand of baseball in terms of running base. Oklahoma, obviously, Oklahoma does that. So I think, like I've said all year, when you've survived the SEC and you make it to a regional, whether you're a national seed or whether you're the last team in, it's like a breath of fresh air that you're going to play good teams, but you're not going to see anything you haven't seen. Mason Lytle's a great player, and Kansas State has great players. They have an awesome lefty. They have a lot of good left-handed pitching. We know that UTSA has awesome bullpen arms and good starting pitching and a great coach. So, that's every day in the SEC. That's not every day in every other conference. It's just not. So we're prepared. Now you just have to go play well. I mean, we need to be way more concerned about ourselves, putting together better at bats, handling the baseball. We've handled it pretty well all year. So, and then just getting the right pitchers in the right spots and seeing how that plays out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then 13 teams from the SEC did make it to the field of 64, which is, I believe, the record. The previous record was 12 or 11. So it speaks to what y'all were able to do during the regular season, especially winning 8 series in that SEC play. How fortunate maybe you're, not even looking down the road, but in the semifinals, y'all were one of the few teams not matched up against an SEC team in the Supers. So that, I guess, does that change the equation at all when you're thinking how you want to layer your pitching and do everything else this weekend?
No, it does. I mean, I don't assume anything. I mean, we got to win.
Yeah.
And been a national. My last year at TCU, we were a national seed and lost the regional. So there's been plenty of them. There's no guarantees. Your season can be over in 2 games. You can start playing on a 1 o'clock on a Friday, and if you lose, you're playing at 1 o'clock the next day, and by 4 o'clock your season's over if you're not careful. So somebody's season's gonna be over by 4 or 5 o'clock on Saturday. So no, it doesn't affect anything. I saw the other side of the bracket with UCLA regional, but there's literally zero thought put in that. Because as soon as you start thinking about that, you lose, or you think you're going to be playing one team and it ends up being somebody else. So same thing within our own regional. There was a year at TCU where we had A&M come to the regional, and they had a great year, and everybody felt like they shouldn't have been a 2 seed. And holy cow, we're going to have to beat A&M in our own regional, and we never even played them. They lost 2 games, and so it was like, don't worry about things you can't control. I just stay in the moment. We got to play our rear ends off against Houston Christian. And that's to assume that we can do it, that we can just walk through any game. I mean, we've proven that nobody can do that.
Yeah, I was watching some of the Southland tournament. They were playing in the finals and against New Orleans. And, as they went through against RGV, and those were some really entertaining matchups. They, you talked about it earlier today, but they play a solid brand of baseball, and they play well together. It seemed like every single time they would, face some adversity, they were able to fight back. So yeah, it's never easy for sure. You talked about the 1 p.m. game. I think you've mentioned it previously, but you like to play those early games in the regional just so you get it out of the way, and whether you win or lose, you get a chance to sit back and kind of watch what's happening. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, just the anxiousness, the anxiety. It's not anxiety, but you're just anxious to play. Guys are ready to play. It's you wake up in the morning, you have your team breakfast, you take BP and you play, right? You just can't wait to get on the field. That's one reason. Another is to whether you win or lose, and you get to watch the next game. And versus if we play the night game, then we'd be underneath hitting in the cages and trying to watch it on TV and not really locked in. Then you got to stay up late to rewatch the game and just do different things that way. And then the other thing, which I don't think we're going to run into this year, and having a turf field changes some of this, but I've been in ones where one game gets in, the next one gets rained out. And that becomes a massive advantage to the team that got their game in. So, and obviously you get more rest whether you win or lose. So it's just, I should have done that. I didn't never do it at TCU, or we should have done it then. I was always worried about the crowd, and then when in reality, most people that can come are already going to be there. And if anything, it gives them a excuse to get off of work. So I know it'll be hot, but we need to use that to our advantage, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of taking it back just a moment, how did you feel, or was there anything that you saw from the team coming out of the SEC tournament that kind of gave you like, hey, we want to make sure we work on this in between now and when we play? Or is there something that came out, like, for example, Ethan Walker's performance, you're like, okay, there's another weapon that we have that we can roll out there, and that, adjust how you look at maybe the pitching staff overall?
Yeah, Ethan was definitely the highlight of that game. That's for sure. Him getting a start, I think he's very beloved player on this team, and the guys were fired up for him. And then, for him to go 4+ innings against that offense and those players is awesome. I was really excited about how we battled Liam Doyle. I think that was one of our better. It's crazy. It was one of our better offensive performances of the year against a great pitcher. And then Brandon Arvidsson made us look horrible. He pitched great. But he made us look bad for however long he was out there. But I was pleased with how we competed against that great pitching staff. We have some things to work on, depending on who's going to be on the field. So a few adjustments to make on some team defensive stuff this week. But other than that, it's kind of would love Jonah Williams to get healthy and be able to be on the field. That would help, or at least be involved in the game in some form. And I know there's some guys trying to make some swing adjustments and that kind of thing. But you are who you are for the most part at this point in the season, and hopefully this rest that we've had will make guys feel better and therefore perform better.
Yeah. And then coming back to today, you talk about it being like a kid at Christmas, where you finally get to this day, right? You finally figure out where everyone's going, how everything's seated. How special is it for this group of older players that you inherited? I was talking to Galvan earlier, and he's like, I've never seen a regional at Dish-Falk Field, right? And he's been here a couple of years. And so how special is it seeing from their eyes and taking it in their perspective?
Awesome. Yeah, the whole year's been like that. To see those guys, the joy, when you walk into another SEC park and they see it for the first time, they've seen it on TV. When you have those teams come in here and the our fans have been so great. I went to dinner on Saturday with a former player here, and he was even talking about the electricity of the crowds. He had, with the exception of postseason games, he hadn't seen that in the Big 12 or certainly even on Tuesday nights. Our crowds on Tuesday nights have actually been way better than everybody made me feel like they were going to be. So I think they're great. I think so. And then Galvan's comment in the dugout at OU after we won the first game was one of my favorite points of the season. And we were cleaning up the dugout, and guys were still celebrating down the right field line. And he said, "Man, if you'd have told me this time last year I was going to be an SEC champion after all the things that the guys went through last year, coaching change and different tough regional stuff like that." So it's, as a coach, when you hear a player, especially a guy like Ryland, say that, it definitely fills you up with joy, kind of like a parent.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you feel like that's helped maybe alleviate some of the stress as well? You were able to get in and out of the SEC tournament. Not that losing is a bad thing, but you're able to get healthy. You're able to get some guys some extra treatment and just kind of, Adrian Rodriguez looked like he was absolutely going through it in those at-bats because he's just been a soldier all season long. Galvan obviously caught the majority of the games. So how important is that rest period in between SEC tournament now?
I think it's important. None of us liked losing. I can tell you, a pretty brutal taste in our mouth after that game. I texted a few guys on Saturday, I think it was, and said, I don't like watching teams play for a trophy that we could win. And but at the same time, we're doing it from our couch, and everybody's, you could feel just being away from it for one day. Even though I came up here and spent 8 hours looking at the transfer portal, my it actually wasn't just me. It was like 3 or 4 of our coaches. We have no life. So anyway, we'll just see. Let me see how we play. If we don't play well, you can say, well, the rest was bad. You weren't sharp or whatever. But baseball's so dumb. It's dumb. Baseball is the dumbest sport. You can never predict it. Just when you think one thing is going to help you win, it doesn't, and the opposite rings true. So we'll get out. We'll be ready to play on Friday. I'm confident.
Yeah. And then, that we talked about the familiarity with the teams, but how do you feel, I guess, from a postseason standpoint with the fans? Do you feel like, are you worried about there being less expectation or maybe less excitement because they've already seen these kind of teams? Or are you hoping that just the crowd is what you've seen all season long? You mentioned Tuesday nights being better than you had anticipated. What are you expecting out of the crowds this weekend?
Well, I'm expecting it to be as full as any SEC series. I would expect that. I think the beauty of having 2 of the teams within driving distance they should be bringing fans. They should be bringing their families.
Yeah.
And it's always good when the game that the host school isn't playing, that the stadium, I doubt it fills the stadium, but it's super important that our fans come, and if they can be out there for both games, it's great. It gives us good, not that Texas needs any more, backing, I guess, but it just gives us more cachet over time that, hey, if you send teams to Texas, they're going to, even if Texas isn't playing in the game, they're going to have a great experience, right? And so that is important, because this is a championship experience, and you're going to see championship baseball. It's outside of the Texas games. The K-State, Texas State, UTSA game on Friday night. That's one of the better 2-3 seed games in the country, and K-State, having been in the same conference until this year, you would think they would. They certainly know Austin and know how to get here and come to the games. So, but we need our fans. There's no doubt about it. This is the time we need them the most. And I've been here for a regional 2004, and certainly been here for the 9 and 10 super regionals. So I know exactly what this place can feel like when it's the postseason, and that's what I expect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was talking to some folks earlier, and they were already mentioning, hey, I've got extra session tickets especially for, you mentioned that night game. And you're right. UTSA and Kansas State should be an outstanding matchup. And for anyone that loves college baseball, it's certainly one you want to be in person for. So I guess lastly, you mentioned pitching earlier on. What is your kind of vision as you come into, I know you're not going to announce starters yet, but thinking about how you set up this regional to set up the team for success from a pitching standpoint, what does that look like for you?
Well, it looks like whatever on that particular day gives us the best chance to win, while also giving us the best chance to win the tournament. So, I've been a part of teams, coached teams where you have a legitimate 1, 2, 3, and 4 starter. One year at TCU, we started the third guy in the first game, and the first guy in the second game, and the second guy in the third game, and we ended up getting to a losers bracket, and we still had the fourth, a guy who had pitched every Tuesday for us the whole year. We had plenty of pitching to get your way through it. And then, but the second game is the most important game. I say that you don't want to lose the first one, but if you do win the first one, then winning the second game just changes everything, because someone's got to beat you twice. If you lose the first game, then the second game means everything, because you're going to lose your season. So it's just our staff this year without Spencer, that changes things for us. That's why we've done, we started Cade Bing against OU, and maybe the best right-hander, if not one of the best right-handers in the conference, in Witherspoon, and we won the game. And then we started Ethan Walker against the best left-handed pitcher in the league, and we should have won we had a 4-0 lead, when he came out, and had every opportunity to win that game. So I feel like our bullpen is really the strength of the team. Being able to get the ball with some level of the game being competitive, or certainly with a lead, to Grubbs, Burns, Valanis. Saulnier's done pretty well lately. We haven't gotten Dre in there lately. He threw well yesterday. Trying to think who else, but mainly, Burns, Grubbs, and Valanis. That combination is really what has to get us to where we need to go. And Luke is pitching the best out of all the starters. And Ruger, I expect him to, he's had plenty of rest and opportunity to gain some weight back from being sick. And hopefully he'll have his best stuff going.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the insight, Coach. And I know you've got a lot going on, so I'll let y'all get back to it. Best of luck in the preparations this week, and looking forward to see y'all on the field on Friday.
All right, Zach, appreciate you. Appreciate all you do.
Thank you. Welcome.